Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming to the All Hands meeting tonight. This message is for each one of you who perhaps have joined Real Progressives recently, maybe didn't know who Real Progressives was, maybe don't have a deep understanding of the history of Real Progressives. But you've now joined an organization that has been around since before the Bernie Sanders primary. We've covered everything from the Democratic National Convention with people like Garland Nixon on the team and Claudia Stauber, live from the floor, right there in the middle of all the action. We covered the People's Convergence Conference. We covered the People's Convention right outside of Philly with Jill Stein and Nina Turner. We were there in person, up close, talking to all of them, networking with every burner under the sun. Folks, we supported Jill Stein after Bernie dropped out. We worked with the Green Party deeply. We've worked with folks like Joe Firestone and Fidel Kaboub in helping to try to rewrite the Green Party Section M of their national platform to go with MMT. We've had hundreds of people pass through the doors of Real Progressives as volunteers, and every one of them has left an indelible impression on where we have been and where we will be. Folks, I liken us to something like the New York Yankees or the Dallas Cowboys, God forbid. These are brands. Real Progressives is a brand. Just like every year the Yankees have a new roster, just like the Dallas Cowboys have a new roster, Real Progressives has a new roster frequently because people leave for whatever reasons. We were once the preeminent, we're talking about the premier live streaming social media outlet out there. We were covering things that no one else was covering, and we had people like Jackie Luqman, who's now on the Real News Network, and Garland Nixon, who works with the liberal head on Fox News. We had Arn Menconi, who was running for Senate in Colorado. We had folks all over the country at many stations in life. We had people from the wonderful Standing Rock event. We had people at every step along the way, plugged in, showing up to events, ready to be on-the-spot reporters with their camera phone in hand, live streaming at a moment's notice. We had people in Charlotte during the riots over the racist, horrible stuff that occurred when the guy ran his truck through the crowd. We've had folks at every stop along the way. The Women's March, the Take Back Democracy March, Millions for Medicare March, Occupy Inauguration. We've been in the streets. We've been there where the tear gas is going on. We've been there with luminaries like Ralph Nader. And we've been around people like Chris Hedges. Of course, we've had the folks like Tim Canova who have signed on to be on our board of directors. Fidel Kaboub of the Global Institute of Sustainable Prosperity that has agreed to be on our board of directors. Dr. Stephen Hale, who's agreed to be on our board of directors. Patricia Pino, who's agreed to be on our board of directors. You start to realize that Real Progressives is a lot more than what you thought it was, or maybe what you thought it would be. Now, with the cast of people that we have today, it's our job to make this the best roster that we can be. It's up to us to take this so that it goes from where it is now to where it could be and beyond. Now, for those of you who don't know what Real Progressives is, let me tell you what it is overall. Real Progressives is a network of ideas and of work troughs, if you will, lines of business. We have a policy pillar that is supposed to craft policy for parties, for politicians, for local communities, for other organizations that want to help champion a cause. We're there to provide solutions, both at the national level and at the local level. We want to be able to take the good work that all the scholars have done, and we want to be able to boil it down to very, very easy lay people speak. We want to be able to have solutions-based people that can help craft answers to very complex problems as news articles come out. Be able to have a think tank So the policy pillar is in essence a think tank. The next one is education. The idea is to transform the way we see education in terms of educating both activists, community leaders, politicians, and others who maybe are not at the academic level but need to have a working knowledge of these very important concepts, all the way down to children that may just want to learn by using a coloring book. Very, very important role that the education pillar serves. It serves both to help the activism pillar do its job, and it serves to help the policy pillar do its job, and it informs the media pillar, which is coming up shortly. Now, our activism pillar is an interesting thing. In many places, activism is just random people running off and doing a march here. Hey, we're going to do a 12 million march there. Hey, we're going to do this. Hey, we're going to do that. That is not what Real Progressives activism is about in any way, shape, or form. Real Progressives activism starts with the policy pillar, and it works its way across so that we have education lined up to support whatever it is that we're doing. So that we have activism that is campaign-based, that is supporting the policies we support, that takes this next bit with the education and has materials to go out there and actually do proper activism. It isn't just random parades and marches and fists in the air. It's fists in the air with a purpose, okay? With demands, etc. But it's a nonstop campaign to support what I'll go into soon, which is our 7 knowledge areas. And then lastly is the media pillar. The media pillar will capture all the work of the other 3 pillars, be it policy, be it education, be it activism. And more importantly, it will have other things that it does as well, like podcasts. It will have video. It will have documentaries. And ultimately, it will provide a whole platform for us to eventually have a Roku channel and maybe even more. It just depends on how well we do. But we're going to have writers that actually write according to the 7 knowledge areas. Not just random, hey, I got a wild hair, let me go ahead and write some op-ed. This is kind of purpose-driven writing to support our overall mission. The next bit to that, which is very important, is that our meme campaign supports our activism. Our meme campaign supports our education, and our meme campaign comes straight out of the policy pillar. Well, what is it that we do here? Everybody thinks we're just MMT, right? That's not entirely true. MMT informs all of the things that we do, but MMT is not all that we do. In fact, MMT is but one real knowledge area mixed with 6 other knowledge areas. The first knowledge area is economic justice, because everything that we want to do to empower a Green New Deal starts with understanding economics. It includes a job guarantee. It includes all the other aspects of what a functioning economic system works that has justice at its core. It includes reparations. It includes making sure that regular people are not drowning in private debt, and that the federal government does its job, as is called out in the United States Constitution, to serve the general welfare and to be able to print the money, to speak that money into existence, which can be found in Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. The second knowledge area is very important, near and dear to all of our hearts, which is environmental and keyword, and ecological justice. Environmental and ecological justice. That right there should be very self-explanatory. We all know the problems. However, what are the solutions? In order to get to the solutions, we need to know how we're going to pay for it, right? So this is how the economic justice platform helps us address environmental and ecological justice. And it's important to understand that economic justice informs equality with justice, which is our next knowledge area. Equality means a lot of things. It means making a more fair and just society. It means not discriminating based on race, creed, or color, but more importantly, how do we address those inequities baked into our system, baked into our world, and baked into our legislature, okay? So when we look at this, we look at how does economic justice impact equality? And I think we can all see clearly everything from environmental racism, dumping medical waste in poor communities. Horrible. Look at Flint, Michigan's water. Horrible. That right there is environmental ecological justice, meets equality, meets economic justice. And you begin to see how this stuff builds together. So we would have those subject matter experts in the policy pillar based on these 7 knowledge areas working collaboratively to come up with real-world solutions that they can assist activists to go out and do something with. It's a beautiful thing because you have not only the knowledge, but you have the education, and you have the platform by which to activate a meaningful action. The next one is peace with justice. Folks, everything from our police force, militarized police force, and the drug war come in here. But that could also touch on equality with justice. That could also touch on environmental and ecological justice when you think about the hemp world and how cannabis works to make our lives better. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't get to health and well-being. Give me just a second. That's our 6th knowledge area. But then you look at this peace with justice. Look at Yemen right now. Look at Syria. Look at the Iraq war. Look at Afghanistan. Look at our inner workings with the Russian bullshit. And you look down there at Nicaragua and all the Central American nations that we've disturbed. Peace with justice is about being a good global citizen, about seeking diplomatic options, about understanding the people that we're serving and making a more democratized society. Which takes us to our next knowledge area, which is democracy. Democracy is the key linchpin to a functioning society, along with all the others, economic justice mapped into our democracy. If we don't have transparent elections, if we don't have transparent representation, if we don't feel like our voice matters, we won't try to check in. But think about the federal job guarantee. Federally funded, locally administered. This is an area where we can make democracy explode in the local communities, which would then make it explode at every level because people would be compelled to participate in government because it directly impacts their lives. The next one is health and well-being. Health and well-being is critical. Obviously, Medicare for all, or better, a national health service, getting rid of insurance companies altogether and making healthcare work for us, not us work for healthcare. I think this is a very important area, but it also is about healthy living, healthy eating habits, healthy opportunities. You look at the environmental crisis that we have going on, an ecological crisis, and you look at peace with justice, and then you talk about, well, why do we talk about veganism sometimes? Steve's not a vegan, no. But I support the nonviolent approach. I support understanding that there are alternatives to meat. I appreciate the fact that we look at sentient beings as feeling and think about ways that we can make our society more just and equitable for them. And last but not least, we have technology and innovation. Technology and innovation are predicted to really wipe out many of the jobs we see today. But we all know that this has always been the case from the dawn of time. Technology is a disruptive source of change. And what happens, no matter what, the abacus hated the calculator hated the computer, the friggin' wagon wheel maker hated the steel radial, and so on and so on and so on. We will always be dealing with this. And as a matter of course, we as real progressives need to be the ones that set the ethical bar for how to adapt and manage technological innovations that map to the other 6 knowledge areas, from environmental justice to economic justice. Think about this. Economic justice, we talk about a federally funded, locally administered job guarantee to ensure there is no more involuntary unemployment. But what about people that are displaced or don't want to work? Well, we would expand Social Security to accommodate those as well. The bottom line is that our 7 knowledge areas go across our 4 pillars, and that makes up the whole of what Real Progressives is. But as we build out our legal entities, it's important to know that there are many complex legal situations to discuss in terms of whether some of this should be a for-profit entity to help fund the others, whether it should be a 501c3, a 501c4, a 527, or all these different types of organizations out there that give us various legal standing that provide us with a tax-free environment or a donation that is tax-free as well. And we have to determine what our political ends are, what our actual cause ends are, and what our functional ends are, and map those to the appropriate thing. Our website should represent this. Our live stream should represent this. Our podcast should represent this. Our interviews should represent this. Our work in social media should represent this. Every step along the way, every writing that we do, everything that we do should be focused on providing bounds to what I just stated. We should not be trying to solve things that are outside that. But the good news is that almost everything is within that. The only thing that you've got to worry about is being part of this really wonderful organization and making it the best it can be. If that doesn't excite you, nothing will. Our goal is to create local chapters of Real Progressives with all 4 knowledge areas, or all 7 knowledge areas and all 4 pillars located in each community. That way we can have feedback loop. Our goal is to create an outreach team that works with all these different organizations so that we know events that are coming in so we can participate in their stuff, and in turn make relationships so that when we have events, we can call on them to bring the largest groups possible together. Is this a tall order? It absolutely is. But if you're in it to win it and you put your best foot forward and you work with us, there's nothing that we can't achieve. Real Progressives has been at the forefront of this for a very long time. You did not just stumble into a brand new organization. You are in an organization that is a name brand around the world. And it's up to you to make it the shining example and make it continue to grow and become what it can be. Thank you all very much for your time. Please listen to Christina and the rest of the team during this great all-hands call. I wish you could be there, but in spite of it all, I know you will do the best thing that you can do to make Real Progressives successful. In the meantime, have a great time. Enjoy your families this holiday season. We'll talk soon. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.